Hidden deep within the sprawling forests of Europe, an ancient drama unfolds every single day. The main actors in this play are the continent's large herbivores, majestic creatures that are far more than just beautiful sights to behold. These animals are the unseen gardeners, the tireless landscape artists, and really, the very heart of the forest ecosystem. They are a critical link in the great chain of life, constantly shaping the world around them through their daily activities. From the mighty European bison to the graceful roe deer, each species plays a unique and irreplaceable role in maintaining the health and balance of their woodland homes. Their presence is a sign of a thriving, dynamic environment. These magnificent animals are the engine of the forest. By grazing on grasses and browsing on shrubs and young trees, they actively manage the landscape. This prevents any single plant species from taking over completely, creating a beautiful mosaic of different habitats. Think of them as natural lawnmowers and hedge trimmers, but on a much grander scale. This constant nibbling and clearing opens up sunny patches on the forest floor, allowing new and diverse plants to sprout. This, in turn, creates new homes and food sources for countless smaller creatures, from insects and butterflies to songbirds, supporting a rich tapestry of biodiversity. Beyond their physical impact on the vegetation, these herbivores are a cornerstone of the food web. They represent a vital source of nourishment for Europe's top predators, such as wolves and lynx, ensuring these magnificent carnivores can survive and maintain their own populations. But their contribution doesn't end there. After they pass away, their bodies provide a feast for a whole host of scavengers, from foxes and eagles to the tiniest beetles. Even their droppings are a gift to the ecosystem, as they are quickly broken down by insects and fungi, returning essential nutrients back into the soil and fertilizing the very plants they once ate. For us humans, these animals hold a special significance. They are a living connection to a wilder, more ancient Europe, a time when these creatures roamed freely across the entire continent. Seeing a herd of red deer emerge from the morning mist or catching a glimpse of a solitary elk in a wetland is an awe-inspiring experience that stirs something deep within us. Their continued existence is not just an ecological necessity, it is also a source of immense wonder and aesthetic value. Protecting these herbivores means protecting the very soul of the European wilderness for generations to come. The European bison, also known as the wisent, is the largest land animal in all of Europe and a true symbol of conservation success. This incredible beast is a living relic, a cousin to the American bison that once roamed from the forests of Western Europe all the way to the Caucasus Mountains. An adult male can weigh over a ton, and their sheer size is just breathtaking. Their story is one of tragedy and triumph. Hunted to the brink of extinction, the last wild bison disappeared in the early 20th century. The species only survived thanks to a few individuals kept in zoos and private estates. The comeback of the European bison is one of the greatest wildlife conservation stories ever told. Through the dedicated and painstaking efforts of naturalists and foresters, particularly from Poland, a captive breeding program was established. These pioneers carefully managed the genetics of the few remaining animals to rebuild a healthy population. Today, thanks to their foresight, herds of European bison once again roam free in forests like Poland's famous Białowieża forest. They are a testament to the fact that with dedication and international cooperation, we can bring species back from the very edge of oblivion. The daily life of a bison is centered around one primary activity: eating. These gentle giants are voracious herbivores, and a single adult can consume up to 60 kilograms of plant matter, mostly grasses and herbaceous plants, every single day. They travel in herds, led by an experienced female, which provides safety in numbers. When a female is ready to give birth, she will temporarily leave the herd to find a secluded spot. She typically has one calf every 2 years. After a few days, she rejoins the herd with her newborn, which is then protected and cared for by all the other bison. The bison's role as an ecosystem engineer is profound. Their intense grazing creates open, meadow-like clearings within the dense forest, which benefits a whole range of other species that thrive in sunny conditions. Their heavy bodies compact the soil in some areas, while their hooves break it up in others, creating diverse ground conditions. Even their dung is a miniature ecosystem, providing food and habitat for countless coprophagous insects, which are beetles that feed on dung. These insects, in turn, become food for birds and other animals, showcasing how the bison's presence sends ripples of life throughout the entire forest. The red deer is arguably Europe's most iconic forest dweller, a symbol of grace, power, and wild beauty. These large deer are found in major forest complexes across the continent, from the Scottish Highlands to the Carpathian Mountains. They are highly adaptable, living in both dense woodlands and more open landscapes. The males, known as stags or bulls, are famous for their magnificent antlers, which they shed and regrow every single year. These antlers are not just for show, they are formidable weapons used during the dramatic mating season, a period of intense rivalry and spectacle known as the rut. As autumn arrives and the air grows cooler, a primal sound begins to echo through the forests. This is the roar of the red deer stag, a deep, guttural call that announces his presence and challenges any rivals. The rut, which typically occurs in September and October, is the most important time of the year for a stag. He will gather a group of females, called hinds, into a harem, which he must tirelessly defend from other ambitious males. During this frantic period, which can last for up to 4 weeks, the stags barely eat, fueled only by adrenaline. They can lose up to 20% of their body weight in their quest to pass on their genes. The life of a hind is very different. They live in social groups, usually consisting of related females and their offspring, led by a single experienced matriarch. A hind will typically give birth to her first calf in her 3rd year of life. The calves are born in late spring, covered in white spots that provide excellent camouflage in the dappled sunlight of the forest floor. These spots fade by autumn. A young deer will stay with its mother for up to 2 years, learning the essential skills of survival, such as where to find food and how to avoid danger, before striking out on its own. Red deer are incredibly wary animals with an exceptional sense of hearing and smell, which helps them detect predators from a great distance. They have a varied diet, feeding on grasses, herbs, leaves, and twigs. In late winter, when other food is scarce, they may resort to stripping the bark from young trees, which can cause significant damage to commercial forests. They are also known to take mud baths, rolling around in muddy wallows to help remove pesky skin parasites and cool down in the summer heat. This behavior is just one of many fascinating adaptations that allow them to thrive in their woodland domain. While the red deer commands attention with its size and power, the roe deer charms with its delicate grace and elegant form. This much smaller deer is one of the most widespread and common herbivores in Europe, often seen at dawn and dusk browsing at the edges of woodlands and fields. Unlike their larger cousins, roe deer are more solitary or live in small family groups for much of the year. The males, called bucks, grow small, simple antlers that are typically no more than 3 points. These antlers are shed each autumn and regrown by the following spring. The reproductive life of the roe deer is truly remarkable and features a fascinating biological quirk. Their mating season, or rut, occurs in the middle of summer during late July and early August. After mating, the fertilized egg does not immediately implant in the female's uterus. Instead, it enters a state of suspended development known as delayed implantation, or embryonic diapause. This pause lasts for about 5 months. The embryo only begins to grow in earnest around December, ensuring that the fawns are born in May or June, the perfect time when the forest is bursting with lush vegetation and provides plenty of cover. When a female, or doe, gives birth, she usually has 1 or 2 tiny fawns. These newborns are virtually scentless for the first few weeks of their lives, which is their primary defense against predators like foxes. The mother will leave her fawns hidden in tall grass or undergrowth for hours at a time while she goes off to feed. She returns periodically to nurse them, but from a distance, the fawns may look abandoned. This is a critical survival strategy, and it is vital that people who find a lone fawn understand that its mother is almost certainly nearby, and will return for it. As winter approaches, the roe deer's social behavior changes. To increase their safety, make it easier to find scarce food, they abandon their solitary ways and gather into small herds. These groups, sometimes numbering a few dozen individuals, will forage together in open fields where they can more easily spot danger. When spring arrives and the forest once again provides ample food and cover, these winter herds dissolve, and the deer return to their more territorial and solitary lifestyles, completing a cycle that has played out in Europe's woodlands for thousands of years. The elk, known in Europe as the moose, is the undisputed giant of the deer family. This colossal herbivore is a creature of the boreal and temperate forests, with a particular love for wetlands, marshes, and river valleys. An adult bull can stand 2 meters tall at the shoulder and weigh over 600 kilograms, making it an imposing and, honestly, unforgettable sight. Their most distinctive features are their huge palm-shaped antlers, which can span nearly 2 meters across, and their long face, with a drooping, prehensile upper lip that is perfect for stripping leaves from branches. Unlike the herd-forming red deer, elk are largely solitary animals. They spend most of their lives alone, wandering through their vast territories in search of food. They are perfectly adapted to their wetland habitats, with long legs that allow them to wade through deep water and snow, and wide hooves that act like snowshoes to prevent them from sinking into soft ground. They are also powerful swimmers and can dive to feed on aquatic plants at the bottom of lakes and rivers. Their diet consists of willow and birch twigs, aquatic vegetation, and the shoots of various trees. The mating season for elk begins in early September. Unlike red deer stags that gather large harems, a bull elk typically focuses his attention on one female at a time. He will follow and court a chosen cow for several days, using a series of soft grunts and moans to communicate his intentions. After mating, the bull will move on to find another receptive female, while the first cow is left to carry her young through the long winter. This solitary approach to mating reflects their overall individualistic lifestyle, a stark contrast to the more social deer species. After a pregnancy of about 8 months, the female elk gives birth to 1 or 2 calves in the late spring. The first few months of a calf's life are incredibly perilous, and it is estimated that nearly half of them do not survive their first 2 months due to predation by bears and wolves. The survivors, however, grow incredibly quickly on their mother's rich milk. A calf will stay by its mother's side for a full year, learning everything it needs to know about survival, before she gently but firmly drives it away, just before she is due to give birth to her next offspring. Not all of Europe's large herbivores are native to the entire continent. The fallow deer, for instance, is a beautiful and graceful species whose original homeland is believed to be Asia Minor. They were likely introduced to Europe by the Romans, who kept them in parks for hunting and as a source of meat. Today, they are found in woodlands and parklands across much of Europe. They are easily distinguished from red deer by their smaller size, their long, black-fringed tail, and the distinctive white spots that many adults retain on their summer coats. Fallow deer are fascinating because centuries of selective breeding have resulted in a remarkable variety of coat colors. While the most common color is a chestnut brown with white spots, you can also find individuals that are almost completely black, a pale sandy color, or even pure white. The males, known as bucks, grow unique, flattened antlers that look like a wide, open palm. Their mating season, or rut, occurs later than that of the red deer, typically from October through November. During this time, bucks make a distinctive groaning or belching sound to attract females and ward off rivals. Another fascinating introduced herbivore with a special job is the Polish konik horse. These sturdy, dun-colored horses are the direct descendants of the tarpan, the wild horse of Europe that went extinct in the early 20th century. The last tarpans lived in the Białowieża forest before being captured in the late 1700s and interbred with domestic horses. In the early 20th century, Polish scientists began a process of breeding back, selecting domestic horses that most closely resembled the extinct tarpan to recreate a look-alike breed. The result was the hardy and resilient konik. Today, these remarkable horses are not just a living link to a lost wild ancestor. They are also powerful tools for conservation. They are used in a practice known as conservation grazing, where they are released into nature reserves and wetlands to help manage the landscape. By selectively grazing on coarse grasses and reeds, they prevent these dominant plants from choking out more delicate wildflowers and herbs. This creates a more varied habitat structure, which in turn supports a richer diversity of insects, birds, and other wildlife. The konik is a perfect example of how a carefully managed introduced species can play a vital role in restoring and maintaining healthy ecosystems. High in the forested mountains of Central Europe lives a secretive and surprising herbivore, the mouflon. This animal is a species of wild sheep, believed to be an ancestor of the domestic sheep we know today. Their original homeland is the islands of Sardinia and Corsica, but they were introduced to the European mainland centuries ago as a game animal for nobility. In Poland, they have found a home in the rugged terrain of the Owl Mountains. They are perfectly adapted for life on steep, rocky slopes, with keen eyesight and nimble hooves that give them a sure-footed advantage. The most striking feature of the mouflon is the massive curled horns of the males, known as rams. Unlike the antlers of deer, which are shed and regrown annually, a ram's horns are permanent and continue to grow throughout his entire life. These impressive horns are a symbol of age and status, and they are used in dramatic headbutting clashes with other rams to establish dominance and win the right to mate with the females, or ewes. The females also have horns, but they are much smaller and less curved, or sometimes absent altogether. Mouflon live in herds, which are typically segregated by sex for most of the year. The ewes and their young lambs form their own groups, while the rams live in separate bachelor herds. They come together only during the autumn mating season. Their diet consists of grasses, herbs, and the leaves and shoots of shrubs. They are cautious creatures, always on the alert for predators. Their primary defense is their incredible agility on difficult terrain, where they can easily outmaneuver less nimble pursuers like wolves. They have a reddish-brown coat with a distinctive white saddle patch on their back, which helps them blend in with their mountain environment. Unfortunately, the future of the mouflon in some parts of their introduced range, like Poland, is uncertain. They have not fully adapted to the harsher winter conditions and deep snows of the mainland mountains. Furthermore, growing wolf populations have put increased pressure on them. Perhaps the biggest threat, however, comes from within. Small isolated populations suffer from a lack of genetic diversity, leading to inbreeding. This increases the risk of genetic diseases and reduces their overall fitness. To survive in these areas, the mouflon may require ongoing human support through breeding programs and managed reintroductions to maintain a healthy and viable population. The lives of Europe's large herbivores are governed by the unchanging rhythm of the seasons. Each part of the year presents a unique set of challenges and opportunities, demanding different behaviors and survival strategies. Winter is undoubtedly the most difficult time. The lush greenery of summer is gone, buried under a blanket of snow. Food becomes scarce, and the animals must survive on a meager diet of dry grasses, twigs, bark, and any buds they can reach. This is a time of conservation, where every calorie counts, and animals move as little as possible to save precious energy. During the harsh winter months, many herbivores face a critical shortage of essential minerals. The dried plant matter they consume lacks the salt and other nutrients found in fresh vegetation. To compensate for this, animals will travel, sometimes over long distances, to visit natural salt licks. These are areas where mineral-rich water seeps from the ground. Here, they will lick the soil or rocks to replenish their bodies with the minerals they need to stay healthy. It is also during late winter that foresters see the most damage from bark stripping, as deer and elk, driven by hunger, peel back the bark of young trees to eat the nutritious cambium layer beneath. As the snows melt and the days grow longer, the forest undergoes a miraculous transformation. The arrival of spring signals a time of rebirth and abundance. Buds swell on the trees, and a carpet of fresh green shoots and wildflowers covers the forest floor. For the herbivores that have endured the long winter, this is a time of feasting and recovery. The explosion of nutritious food is perfectly timed, as this is when most species give birth to their young. The abundance of vegetation provides the rich milk that mothers need to nurse their fawns, calves, and lambs, giving the new generation the best possible start in life. Summer is a time of plenty, when the herbivores focus on eating and building up fat reserves for the coming autumn and winter. The forest is alive with activity as young animals play and learn under the watchful eyes of their mothers. As summer fades into autumn, the cycle begins anew. The falling temperatures trigger the hormonal changes that lead to the mating season, or rut, for species like the red deer and elk. The forest once again fills with the sounds of roaring stags and clashing antlers, a dramatic and powerful spectacle that ensures the continuation of life as the woodlands prepare for the quiet hush of winter. The great herbivores of Europe are more than just passive inhabitants of the forest. They are active and essential architects of their environment. Every bite of grass, every stripped twig, and every hoofprint left on the trail contributes to the health, complexity, and resilience of the entire ecosystem. Their constant grazing and browsing act as a natural form of disturbance, which is crucial for biodiversity. By preventing forests from becoming too dense and overgrown, they create a rich mosaic of habitats. A patchwork of open glades, dense thickets, and mature woodland that can support a much wider variety of life. Think of a forest without large herbivores. Fast-growing trees and shrubs would quickly dominate, creating a dark, uniform canopy that shades out the forest floor. Many smaller, sun-loving plants would disappear, and with them, the insects, birds, and other animals that depend on them for food and shelter. Herbivores prevent this from happening. When a bison herd clears a patch of grass or a red deer browses heavily on young saplings, they open up the canopy. This allows sunlight to pour in, stimulating the growth of a diverse understory of flowers, herbs, and grasses, which in turn supports a vibrant community of pollinators like bees and butterflies. These animals also play a key role in seed dispersal. Many seeds are eaten along with fruits and vegetation, pass through the animal's digestive system unharmed, and are then deposited in a new location, complete with a small pile of natural fertilizer. This helps plants colonize new areas and maintains genetic flow between plant populations. Furthermore, by creating trails and compacting soil, they create unique microhabitats. A simple hoofprint can collect water, becoming a temporary home for aquatic invertebrates or a drinking spot for smaller creatures. Their actions, both big and small, create endless opportunities for other species. Ultimately, the presence of a healthy and diverse community of large herbivores is a powerful indicator of a healthy ecosystem. They are a fundamental part of the trophic pyramid, providing the energy base that supports predators and scavengers, and driving the nutrient cycles that fertilize the soil. Their conservation is not just about saving individual species from extinction. It is about preserving the intricate web of relationships that makes our forests so rich and dynamic. By protecting these magnificent gardeners and ensuring they have the space they need to roam, we are safeguarding the biodiversity and wild spirit of Europe for all time.